Now today, reality strikes. We have to pay. When you get a new road, a tunnel in the west and a flyover, or you get a new rail system, the metro, you've got to pay. One way or the other, you've got to pay. These two big projects have lurched forward in the past week or so, and we established on Friday, if the Western Tunnel, the Western Distributor, all goes ahead, you'll pay an extra $8 billion in extended tolls on roads that are nothing to do with the Western Tunnel and beyond the Monash and the rest. The Monash will pay for changes in the west, $8 billion in extended tolls if it goes ahead. Today, the Metro Rail Tunnel, huge project, and the Herald Sun reports on a business plan to pay for it that suggests fare increases, increase in car registration, rate increases, tolls, levy on public transport tickets. This, in fairness, it's the business case for the previous government, but it talks about developing high-rise towers over station and demolishing, I think, 56 houses, hundreds of apartments. Now, in the studio with me, he brings down his first budget tomorrow, is the Treasurer, Tim Pallas. Good morning.
Good morning, Neil. Good to be with you.
Can I just ask you, in the budget, will you be outlining your wages policy?
Our wages policy is pretty clear, and I think we'll make it clear that our intention is to stick with the sort of parameters that the previous government had, but with a little bit more flexibility around what constitutes efficiency and the delivery of efficient outcomes.
So what's your limit?
Well, it's basically 2.5% together with efficiencies upwards of up to 0.5%. What we would basically say is you'll see in this budget that we're actually keeping our expenditure in control. It is slightly above the previous government's of about 2.5%. We'll be pushing our expenditure up so that we can increase services to about 3%, but it will be below our revenue, Neil, and our revenue is coming in at about 3.4%.
Sorry, that's 3%. What are you talking? What's the 3%?
3% is essentially our expenditure on services. Look, Victorians have come to expect that the previous government's outlays on services were not good enough. They wound back our education, our hospital system. We're making a bigger investment into that.
Okay, now the Metro Tunnel, and that report today from the previous government, how are you going to pay for it?
Well, the first point to make is that this is a business case that was produced for the previous government. What I say, a business case that the previous government went and extolled the virtues of to the federal government in July 2013 when they produced their request for funding for the federal government for this project. So essentially it incorporated a return on investment, unlike the failed East-West Road Tunnel, and then they junked it, Neil.
It wasn't failed, it was closed. I mean, it was abandoned rather than failed.
Well, it returned according to the business case before you started dodgy agglomeration economics and other things, 45 cents in the dollar. It was failed, Neil. It couldn't get worse than that.
It didn't have a chance to fail. You closed it, but you abandoned it. Anyway, how are you going to pay for it? Forget the previous government and what they did. How are you going to pay for it?
Well, let's do this sequentially, Neil. First thing we'll do is we'll update the business case because it is some years old now, and importantly, we've got no plans around any of these proposals. But once the business case is produced, we'll have a genuine discussion with the Victorian people about how these vital pieces of infrastructure are delivered.